So today's session will walk you through exam weightage outline, then we'll take you Pearson virtual tour, how the exam center looks like, what are the prerequisites you need to bring while going to exam. Then we'll deep dive into security principles, as security principles taking 26% of weightage in the exam. Then we'll talk about threat mitigation controls, privacy, laws and regulations, then followed by few multiple choice questions. I will teach you how to choose best answers while answering multiple choice questions. So first to start with the weightage outline. As we know, this exam consists of 5 domains. Domain 1 is security principles, which has 26% of the weightage. What does that mean? Out of 100 questions, 26 questions must come from security principles topic. So the first domain is very important because 26% of the questions comes from there. Rest of the domains are less. Maybe the next important domain is network security. So to pass the exam, you need to score 70% of the mark. Out of 100, you need to score 70. If you need to score 70, you need to at least learn each and every domain at least more than 50%. So you cannot eliminate any of the domain which you don't like in semester we do. Like if 5 chapters you have, you can study only 3 chapters, you leave 2 chapters without studying, then you will pass the exam, right? But in this case, not possible because they put each domain some weightage. If you not familiar with any of the domain, you may end up with failing the exam. So it's important to understand the weightage. Now I come to time management. When it comes to multiple choice questions, you may need to reread the questions 1 or 2 times to better understand the questions. Then you need to go to answers. You need to eliminate the wrong ones one by one. Then you need to figure out the best answer to choose. Since this exam is for 2 hours, 100 questions, you roughly have 1.2 minutes for each and every questions to take time. If you take more time, then you may end up with reducing your time for answering other questions. So you need to answer 100 questions for within 120 minutes. So 1.2 minutes each question you can take. If it is shorter, that would be good. But if you are taking more than 1.2 minutes to answer, you may end up with losing your time. So next we'll go to the Pearson tour. So how the exam center looks like. The reason I put this slide here because I want everyone should aware how the exam center looks like while going to examination. Oops, I have the copy paste problem here. All right, it's supposed to work now. Okay, so when you go to exam, so the center looks like this. The same exam center may offer multiple other exams like GRE, TOEFL or Microsoft Azure examination. You will be given with the single window PC in a quiet room. You must be scanned before entering the room. You need to complete the biometric authentication, like your palm would be scanned, and you need to produce 2 ID proof. It could be Aadhaar card or it could be passport or driving license. The name should match in the application. So this is how it is. They would provide locker to store a small bag. For example, maybe backpack you can store. You cannot store big luggage bag. So maybe you can carry backpack with you with water bottle or something that can be stored in this locker. But you cannot carry anything inside the exam center. So this is how the center looks like. Just want to give you the vivid imaginary how the exam going to happen while you are going to exam. So I have noticed from last session there are people didn't join WhatsApp group and they have missed the first session. In case you have missed the first session or you just joined later, after last week Saturday, then we have recorded last week's session that has clear visibility on how to the part 1 preparation and how the exam is, where to register for certified in cybersecurity exam posted in these videos. So I recommend to watch the steps to start self-paced online training video and follow the instructions so that you can start your learning journey from ISC Squared website. So that's important because you need to register, you need to start and complete the 40 hours training program there. Then only this program would be beneficial for you. So start that, watch this video and start your learning journey from ISC Squared website. Then you watch the session 1 recordings if you like to. Then I come back to the session today. So the virtual tour, that's how the exam center looks like. Then we'll focus on the today topic, security principles. As we have seen last week about security principles, confidentiality, integrity, and availability and non-repudiation, there are statements that we cannot modify, like principles, right? Like, for example, ensure that private data remains secret. That is confidentiality. That information isn't altered without permission is integrity. Then that information is available to authorized users when they need it is availability. So confidentiality, integrity, availability, these three are the core principles for cybersecurity. Security principles are 3: confidentiality, integrity, availability. Non-repudiation is not. That's where this CIA triad come into picture. So this CIA triad is talking about confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So in case you like to remember what is confidentiality, integrity, or availability, keep this statement familiar with. The data, whatever data, it could be your WhatsApp message, email, or any data you are sending through any website or any digital medium, that is private data, that must be kept secret. Then the information shouldn't be altered without right permission. For example, you are storing data in Excel or a database. If someone else modified the database, that wouldn't be useful, right? For example, there is an employee in a company, go and modify his own salary. Then what is the purpose of keeping security system, right? So the unauthorized person shouldn't modify the data. That's where the data integrity come into picture. Then the availability, when the data is needed, that must be available. For example, you go to any web page or any internet banking, the website should be up and running. So now we'll talk about threats. What does threats mean? In cybersecurity world, this terminology threats means the possibility of trouble or danger. For example, we know confidentiality, we need to keep the thing secret, right? The private message, for example, one-on-one conversation, you are talking to your friend over WhatsApp messaging system or any social networking platform. That one-on-one conversation should be kept secret, otherwise you will lose the privacy and someone else will read your conversation, right? So to protect, we need to, there are mitigation tools, like you need to use encryption, you need to protect end-to-end encryption or TLS encryption, many methods we need to use. But what all are the threats, what all are the danger if we are not protecting? What will happen, or what all are the methods commonly violating these confidentiality? So just take confidentiality. I would recommend you to not read this slide, because the reason I put more verbose for myself to understand or follow the correct order, but for you just to follow my words. For example, snooping. Snooping is something, break the confidentiality by just someone wanders or roaming around your facility or your office, gather some information. For example, many of the theft or law cases like data theft or hacking not only happens over the system just by snooping. Just people go around the office and they understand where the CCTV is, how many security guards are located. Like they just go around and understand the environment, they collect those information. That is called snooping. Snooping can lead to break the confidentiality. So how to mitigate snooping? If someone writing any sensitive information on the blackboard in classroom, then that may leads to data leak, right? Similarly, in your office location or a corporate offices, you shouldn't write any sensitive matter in the blackboard or conference room. You can write within the small group, but you need to make sure clean that information while leaving the room. For example, to mitigate this problem, companies will enforce clean desk policy. What is clean desk policy? Your desk must be clean, shouldn't be write or anything on your desk. Same goes to sensitive materials shouldn't be kept unattended. For example, you shouldn't open your laptop and go for washroom or a break while leaving. You should lock your screen. So these are the information we need to keep in mind while protecting the confidentiality, because confidentialities can be broken if any of the methods not followed. For example, your desk, you have written your password. In your desk, you have written some company financial sensitive information, how much profit or loss or some information. Or you have written some flowchart on the board in the conference room, you left unattended, or you opened your tablet or mobile phone or a PC, you left unattended. That is leads to snooping. Snooping can break the confidentiality. Then dumpster diving. Dumpster diving is a technique trying to find sensitive documents in garbage, basically bin. If you write something on a paper and scramble it and throw it away in the dustbin, the attackers can go and get the garbage bin and read that data. That is called dumpster diving. So the possible way, whatever you have written sensitive information, that must be shredder. Shredder is a machine that will just scramble the paper in a proper way so that anyone cannot read the information written on the paper. We just damaging or discarding the information written on the paper is called dumpster diving. Then eavesdropping. Eavesdropping is nothing, just attacker simply positions themselves where they can overhear the conversation. Take that scenario. In a company, manager and employee talking about their performance or appraisal in maybe conference room or a public hall or just a lounge where everyone else was sitting, or they just discussing over cafeteria. Now what will happen, they are discussing some sensitive information, someone else can hear that information. That is called eavesdropping. So eavesdropping can leads to break the confidentiality because someone else or attacker can get that information. For example, you are traveling in a public transport, bus or train, you are talking about some sensitive information, you are loudly telling someone else the password for that account. Someone else can catch that information and use to break the confidentiality, right? So eavesdropping is one technique. Then wiretapping is similar. In a digital world, we can sniff the wire over attaching a device over keyboard or a monitor, stealing the information through electronic eavesdropping. So the best way is to encryption. So if encryption is in place, so no one can eavesdrop. For example, you send a print information to printer. If someone else is stealing that wire and taking the information, whatever data going to printer, that is going to that attacker as well. So that way, the printer and the system must use encryption so that only printer can decrypt the message, the attacker cannot decrypt the message. So that's what wiretapping means. Social engineering is one of the very familiar things nowadays happening. For example, if someone posts like me using my name and messaging you, hey, I'm Mohamed Ismail, and asking you, can you, I'm in a need and I need some money. If someone posts like me and using my profile picture, if someone is asking money to you, maybe out of 30 people or 60 people, 4 or 5 people may believe that's genuine and they may try to help, right? That is called the impersonation phishing techniques, like tricking the human mind and fooling you to get that impacted. Similarly, that happens in the corporate or a business environment where the attacker posts like your CEO. Let's say your CEO is messaging you today and asking you to send some money or buying some gift coupon urgently. You think that maybe that's my CEO and asking help, I need to respond. You need to provide a quick response. Then you may try to give the money or whatever instruction he is giving, you may follow without validating whether he is CEO or not. So that's where social engineering is breaking the confidentiality. So you just need to remember these 5 techniques will break confidentiality. This is called threats to confidentiality. So that way you can, if we fix this 5 method, then confidentiality would be improved in the companies. Like for example, social engineering. The same example, if anyone messages as your company CEO or a managing director or a board of director or manager, you should check his corporate diary. What is his correct contact number? Or is he using the corporate email? Why first of all manager is asking money? That never be the case. Take a phone number and call or video call. Make sure he's the right person. Validate 1 or 2 times. Validate. Once you validate it, then you can. If the demand is true, then you can go for help. The same goes to your parents or anyone else. Let's say someone posts like your friend and asking money. Pick the phone number and call. Validate. Hey, is this you? Your account, is that compromised or hacked, or someone else is asking money? Nowadays, Google Pay or Facebook, many people asking money and happening. These all are called social engineering. To fix that, only the option is user education. We need to educate all the employees in the company so that these techniques will be mitigated in the system. So social engineering through user education. Only user education can help to mitigate the social engineering. Maybe other techniques. Snooping can be mitigated by clean desk policy, clean environment or workplace policy. Dumpster diving, maybe the paper shredder. They keep a paper shredder machine in front of printer so that people print it out and they don't want that document anymore, but that document has any sensitive info. They go and shred the document in that shredder device. All right, so the next area, so just remember these 5 things for confidentiality. So next we'll move on with the quiz. So take the chat and share your answer. What would be the right answer? What are the 3 major objectives of cybersecurity programs? So among 4, only 1 is right answer. You need to eliminate rest 4 and rest 3 and answer. So it's a simple and pretty straightforward. We were talking this topic last 2 sessions. All right, I'm expecting at least 10 plus responses at least. Go on. All right, guys, looks like this is pretty much clear to everyone. So you guys are rocking. Next, moving on. So next one is for integrity. So we talked about integrity in the definition, right? So what is integrity here? The information isn't altered without the permission. For example, the same example, I'm an employee, I go to my payroll system and modified my salary. What will happen? I'm getting more salary, right? So that shouldn't be the case. How to fix that problem? How to fix that gap? So integrity should be implemented in a secure system through various techniques, but the major threats for integrity are listed here. There are 4 major integrity threats. Unauthorized modification of information. The same example, I go and modify my payroll system, increased my salary, maybe doubled or tripled my salary, right? How companies are mitigating this problem? By giving least privilege. What is least privilege? I am an employee, I shouldn't able to access the payroll system at all. That is least privilege, because I may be part of different department. I shouldn't access payroll system with edit privilege. I may read my payslip, I may read my attendance sheet or my work profile, but I don't have authority to modify my salary. Only my salary can be modified by respective HR department people. So how they would implement using least privilege policies. So least privilege means nothing, just they put a role-based access. Only HR department can write. Rest all the employees can only read the payslip and respective section. They cannot even come to the modification section. So least privilege. The least privilege, in a better analogy, you can understand. For example, you have prepared your project thesis or something on a Google document. You are sharing that with your professor or HOD without right privilege, because they just gonna review. They are not going to modify anything. They are going to write anything, right? So you are just giving view privilege, not the read privilege, sorry, not the write privilege. They cannot modify the document. So that's one example for setting the privilege, but the least privileges while sharing, publicly, like let's say you are sharing the document with anyone, then you need to make sure that is cannot be, modified by anyone else, right? So that way you can understand which one is the least privilege, you can give it to others. So that way unauthorized modification can be mitigated. Then impersonation attacks. So impersonation attacks, as I said, the same. Attacker pretends to be someone other than they actually are. They might impersonate as a manager, executives, or IT technician in order to convince someone to change the data in the system. Same. In the phishing technique or a social engineering method, impersonation attacks are also related. In impersonation attacks, let's say you are working in a database department. You are receiving a call, right? The call saying that the other side person saying that, hey, I'm in need of, I need urgent help. I am your HR director. I need to modify one of the column in the database. My system is not reachable. Can you modify the table? You are the database guy. You are working in a database department. You received a call. You just believed that the other side person is your VP or director, right? You just made a trust, but he's an attacker. He's just trying to change the data without right permission, because he doesn't have authority to change, but he pretends like mimic as a director or VP, then asking you to modify the data. That is one way. This is also only can be mitigated through user education. Then man in the middle attacks. So man in the middle attacks, on the middle way, someone is modifying the data. For example, you are a right person, you are modifying something, you logged into the system, but someone in the middle understand the logic and changing the traffic. For example, attacker intercepts network traffic as a user, log into a system and pretends to be that system. So man in the middle attack is happening only without encryption. If client and application making communication in plain text, it's easy to manipulate someone by man in the middle. So that way man in the middle attack would break the integrity. Then replay attacks. Replay attack is nothing, just collecting the session information. Then later they use the same session information to connect to the database and modify the data. For example, you access Google Drive in a public network or network cafe or someone's public devices. They are capturing your cookies and authentication information. They are not stealing your password, remember. That's why it is called replay attack. They just collect your session information, they keep it safe. Once you left that place or moved away, they use that same system to connect and modify something behalf of you, because they took some sensitive information that would help them to gain the access. That's where replay attack works. Replay attack can be mitigated by encryption and reducing the session time, etc. But encryption is one of the key method. So I like you to remember these these four methods for integrity. So integrity can be disturbed or troubled by these four methods. So you may expect definitely some questions from integrity or confidentiality threats. So these four threats you should aware of. So next, availability. Availability is something whenever you need that information or data, that must be available. In enterprise wise, they may spend more on redundant system or availability by keeping multiple instances for web applications or multiple data centers, various methods they follow to make sure availability would be 99.9% always. But there are availability threats. For example, denial of service. Let's say Amazon or a Flipkart is doing major big sale on 1st of August or 1st of September, right? Everyone going to that website and trying to place the order. Now, how these websites are tackling that much load, entire population, maybe country like India, maybe that may receive crores of connections, right? So they may scale that system accordingly. So they are making availability based on the load because they know I'm going to give some offer, more people are coming to my website and going to place the order. Also, we have noticed sometimes the time you go on the website is not accessible, or you may see an error because the load is reached beyond their anticipated load, the system run into outage. So these are the examples you can think of availability problem. When something is needed, that system is not available, what are the disturbances? First one is denial of service attacks. It is called DDoS. DDoS primarily happens from different country, different various purpose. So most of the time, competitor, maybe X competitor against Y competitor, they fund the attackers and they initiate attacks because they are taking the market and they don't want to grow their business. They like to make sure to down their website or application so that their business will be interrupted. There are nationwide attacks. Maybe two countries in a war zone, for example, Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine attacks Russia, Russia attacks Ukraine, their infrastructures like network. Similarly, India, Pakistan. During Operation Sindoor, India received so much attacks from the Pakistan through cyber attacks. They targeted our banks, our critical infrastructures like nuclear power plant or many other things you might have seen in the news. So these are called denial of service attacks. Various techniques they would use, SYN flood attack. They just sending a SYN packet without SYN-ACK or ACK. They flooding with the infrastructure. Next, for denial of service attacks, only option is firewall. Or there are content delivery networks, CDNs, they call it as Cloudflare or Akamai. They do provide some kind of a solution. For example, attackers keep attacking public IP of let's say 1111. They just change that IP into different IP so that they keep it to other IP in a background. They just fool the attacker by changing the website IP into different IP for a short time frame without impacting the service. There are techniques they do, but the most trusted technique is using firewall. They put a firewall device in front of your web server. That firewall monitor the connection. If that detects any denial of service, that will block the connection from that particular attacker IP address to protect your web application. So that's called denial of service attack protection. Primarily, the option is using firewall. Next, power outages. You may think power outage, how this could be related to cybersecurity. Why should I learn about power outage? You may think, because that's what initially I was, my thought process as well. While reading about cybersecurity, power outages, many things outside system world linked into cybersecurity. For example, how power outage will impact your availability. Let's say complete power outage for that particular city where your servers are hosted. For example, take Bangalore or Mumbai as a city where all the data centers are racked with the servers and systems. The entire city, gone for a power outage more than 10 hours. What will happen? Now, these power outages will slowly impact the services. The websites may go down, email services will not function, the OTPs will not come. So entire communication will collapse, right? So power outages plays major role. How we can mitigate using generators, uninterrupted power supplies, or alternative power backup sources like solar and various other stuff. Nowadays, they do inbuilt generators to maintain redundant power supplies in the data center. So we need to keep power outages as well, one of the option. Then hardware failures, primarily hardware failures, always the critical infrastructures comes with redundant systems, maybe 3 system, 4 system, they keep it for backup. If one fails, next one will take it, pick it up, or both the first 2 systems are down, then the third one will pick it up. That's how the systems are designed and wired in the data center. So hardware failures can be mitigated by redundant systems. Then destruction of equipment. If someone entered into data center and intentionally they disrupted the devices, like pouring water into servers, or some sort of intrusion, some chemical they throw it in the servers, that will impact the destruction of equipment, right? So for that, against large scale disasters, we need to back up data centers in remote locations. For example, due to natural disasters like tsunami or earthquake, or any other man-made disasters like war situation, companies maintain data centers in different countries. For example, Indian banks are keeping a data center in Singapore and London or US, so that if India run into a situation like a war or a flood or earthquake, they can quickly restore the data from the nearest data center, which is Singapore or London, right? So they will spread the data into multiple locations to make sure availability can be given. Maybe short time period of outage. Let's say one branch had fire incident or fire accident happened in a bank. What will happen to their account holders' data, right? So you may think that way. So they store all the data in centralized location in different countries, so that within 1 hour they can retrieve all their database and they can continue the business. So that way, destruction of equipment can be mitigated using redundant system, backup data center, or storing the data centrally in some other places other than the business place. Then service outages, sometimes service outages occur, right? Like due to human error. You might have heard the famous CrowdStrike incident impacted all the airports and various things in last year. Similar incidents may happen without knowing us, by just pushing a wrong code, the QA team not checking the proper validation of the error. Somehow the validation missed, it reached the production and impacted all the customers. So those things may happen in real time as well. Some engineer wrongly powered off the server, or some engineer unplugged the device wrongly in the data center while doing maintenance. So these things are very common in nature. To mitigate that, companies will use redundant systems and resilient, they do test. What will happen if my primary website is down? How is the backup site will be appear within maybe 15 minutes or 10 minutes downtime? They will do a test and make sure the availability. So just giving availability, these 5 methods are common threats. These can be mitigated with respective mitigation control. DDoS can be mitigated with a firewall. Power outage, redundant power supply, uninterrupted power supply can be used. Hardware failure, redundant systems, or backup data center can be used. Destruction of equipment also applicable with backup, and having backup data somewhere else can help to mitigate destruction of equipment. Service outages, resiliency test, for example, keeping backup system ready or backup application web server ready with the ready state, so that they can quickly move to the next available system. So now quiz time. Let's take the chat and respond to your answers. Seems this so easy question. Yeah, this is how it would be. It's a very foundation cybersecurity training, so you can easily figure out the answer just looking at the keyword in the question. So I like to talk about how these multiple choice questions are framed. So there are people struggle with, mostly I have seen high performance background. For example, in school and college, they score very well, but while come to multiple choice question, they would lose, because multiple choice questions, when they just make wrong decision, they will lose the mark here. So here in this question, which one of the following security risks would most likely to be considered an availability issue? Here the key important keyword is availability. They are talking about availability. You just need to come to your mind, it is about security principles like confidentiality, integrity, availability. In availability, what are the things we have learned? Maybe power outage is one of the availability. Replay attack is a different one. Social engineering is integrity related. Snooping is, we have seen in confidentiality. So only power outage is related to availability security risk. So B is the right answer. All good. Seems everyone found the right answer. Let's move on. So now come to non-repudiation. Non-repudiation is not in our CIA triad, confidentiality, integrity, availability triad, but however, this is also one of the important security principle. Non-repudiation means, the repudiation means, it's a term that means denying that something is true. So something happened, but they are claiming that is not happened, right? So how we are proving? For take a simple analogy, sales deed. When you are buying a land or a plot, the buyer and seller is signing the contract. I am selling my all the property, XYZ property, it's located in here. I'm writing with my own consent. These are the words kept in the sale deed, right? When we are giving the deed, we are doing a human signature, right, on the bottom, buyer and seller, right, with the witness. What does that mean exactly? Exactly, that is what non-repudiation. You cannot deny, I didn't given the property. It is signed by you. It is registered by registrar. There are things linked to it, that document, right? So that's where non-repudiation plays a major role. Same goes to digital evidences. Let's say someone came to office and entered into data center and unplugged some of the critical servers that created business outage, your company in loss. Now we need to file a case and we need to figure out who did that, right? For that we need CCTV footage, or how he entered into the system using fingerprint, or what other access control, the door access control, or biometric, what are the systems he entered or violated to enter into that secure place, right? To figure that out, CCTV footage we can use fingerprint sensor database, or any login logout notepad. For example, if you look at any multinational company's gate, the entry, you may have seen there is a security guard with a note sitting. He will enter who is entering at what time, what purpose, who is going to meet, that check-in log. Then at the time you leaving, he will put the exit time and what time you left. Maybe he may ask you to sign the logbook. So these are the things you cannot deny. Something you have sent or you did that cannot be later turned to be you didn't do like that. You cannot escape in digital system. So signature, digital signature, CCTV, biometrics are the techniques used to prove the non-repudiation or supporting the non-repudiation. So the threat is denying the fact. You cannot deny the fact because we are using these controls. If you are using biometric, you used your biometric to enter the office building and you violated the company policy, that acts as a digital evidence for denying the fact. You may say, I didn't do it, but as per the system or logs, they produce the evidences. So non-repudiation is one, but non-repudiation primarily helps in transaction between server and client. For example, when you are making a login to net banking or any social networking or any protected platform, Your client should trust the web server. I am the web server. That web server should trust you are the person logging to that. That is done by digital signature. We'll cover that in later chapter, digital signature in detail. The digital signature would be used to make your browser would trust I am talking to Facebook, or I'm talking to State Bank website, or I'm talking to any other net banking system. That digital signature would be used to validate the trust that we will see in later lessons. So now let's switch the topic to access control. So the access control comes with identification plus AAA. We call it as AAA, authentication, authorization, accounting. Authentication start with identification. We'll go with a simple analogy. Everyone must have Gmail, right? In Gmail, the moment you go to Gmail, what you will do? You will enter your user ID. Okay, your user ID entered, then you will type password, right? The moment you enter user ID, what will happen in the backend? Gmail will check their user index database. Is this user exist? Yes, the user exists. Then take the password as an input and validate against the database. Then it provide you the response. If it is correct, both are matching, successful login, granted, right? Which is authorization. First, identification, who you are, then authentication completed with your password, then authorization, yes, you are the right guy, you have password, successfully logged in. Then it will log what time you logged in. Let's say Ismail logged in at maybe today at time XYZ time UST, successfully logged in. It will write one line log in the backend. If I logged in maybe from different device or a different suspicious device or a location, then it may trigger email saying that, hey, you have logged in from some other place which is not in the system. Is that you? If it is not you, then report it. So like a message we are getting, right? So these are linked to this access control process. Why we need to learn this access control process is you are the security warriors. You are going to defend against hackers. You are going to protect the enterprise applications while designing the system, while designing web application, while designing any internet facing applications. You need to keep in mind these four things: identification, how I am going to identify the user, how I am going to authenticate the user, how I am going to give authorization. In authorization, whether it is the user is administrator or a user, normal user, what privilege the user has, then accounting. So far we are using free subscription like Gmail and different freely available platform like ChatGPT or Perplexity or take any social media, Facebook, right? But when it comes to enterprise may use Jira, Confluence, Salesforce, business applications, right? These are common business applications like SAP. Those business applications, there are administrators, there are users, two set of people going to use the same application. Take a simple example, Salesforce. Salesforce is a customer relationship management tool, CRM tool, right? There is an administrator who manages the configuration of the Salesforce. He may have more privilege. He has modification privilege. He can change the company logo. He can modify the system. More privilege. He's a high privilege user. The administrators. The users are low privilege. The user task is he go and log in and see the data. He will not modify anything in terms of configuration. As a user, normal user, right? So the user login, the user need minimum privilege just to see the data, what is available. He will not modify anything. So that's where authorization come into picture. Authorization will grant right privilege to the user while logging in. So now come to in detail access control process, identification. During authentication phase, first we need to identify user, who the user is by just user ID or login ID, customer ID. Many form the user IDs are nowadays, but most common user IDs are user ID, email ID or customer ID. They identify the user. Then authentication. Proofs comes into play during the second step process, authentication step. The individual proves their identity, satisfaction of the access control system. Authentication is you are proving you are that user using password or some other method. We'll talk later in detail, but mostly the password is the commonly used authentication mechanism. You have given user ID, password, system is going to validate and trusting you are the right user. If the password is not matching, it may throw the error. Then authorization, based on your user, the respective permission will be granted, right? Accounting, once you are successfully logged in, your transaction is logged with the timestamp, what time you logged in. I come to simple analogy again with the same, this 4 access control process. Let's say you are invited to an interview. We call, let's say, a company, one big MNC is calling you for interview. You are selected for first round. They sent you invitation letter with the company address and the meeting person who you are going to meet. You are also prepared for the interview. You are going for that interview first day. You are entering the office premises. In the security gate, they will ask you to show you a ID proof who you are. Then they will check the checklist. What all are the persons invited for today interview? Maybe the HR department given the list to the security guard already in advance. So they are validating first identification, who you are. You are showing the ID proof. Yes, my name is Ismail. Here is my driving license. Identification is completed. Now they authenticate. Is Ismail in the given list? Is he expected to come today for interview? If both is matching, yes, authentication is completed. Now authorization. Yes, you are invited for interview. Go to building A or B. Go to 3rd floor and meet this person. Now they are giving authorization to specific building, or they may come along with you and give you door access to enter into that specific area by authorizing, because you have only authorized to meet that person to get that interview done. Then accounting. The moment you enter the office premises, they will ask you to sign what time you entered, whom you are going to meet, is your ID proof. They are entering in the logbook. While leaving, they will put your time and the time the employee left. So this is applicable not only for a website or application, even office building visit. If someone is visiting, this access control process is followed. This is followed in most of the time, highly regulated, companies. You may have seen strict policy, or if you ever visited passport office or any embassy for visa, you might have noticed this system in place, because they follow that standard, the access control, who is coming, who is going out, what are the privileges that guy has into the building. These are strictly monitored. So that's where access control process come into play. So as a security professional, you should be aware of the access control process. So the same analogy in this example as well. I go to Gmail, I am entering my user ID, then the password, authentication is completed, then my accounting logging information is logged as per like this. My public IP and timestamp get logged for successful login in authorization. The same go to Office analogy or example as well. So now come to next phase, password policy. So before go to password policy, we'll take a quick short 5 minutes break. Maybe you can go and check your WhatsApp status or Instagram feeds. Yeah.
Ismail sir, am I audible sir?
Sorry, you are audible now. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Actually, I have a doubt in that portal regarding the course introduction. This week I have tried to attend that session, sir. In the course introduction part, I have seen a pre-course assessment, pre-assessment.
Yeah.
In that, it's nearly, I think it's 100 questions that we have to attend, right?
So when you take the course, they just ask you to validate your skill level, right? So is that the one you
Yes.
are referring, right?
Yes. Actually, sir, I have a
Okay.
doubt on in that assessment. Initially, the 20 questions are open question, common question. Then I have noticed some of the pre-assessment for the domain 1 and pre-assessment for the domain 2. Like that, for
Yeah.
all the domains, separate questions are there. Anyway, the correct way, we don't know. Actually, we are getting some are confused on getting the information about the portal, whether we want to register for the exam, schedule that exam. Please clarify at
Okay.
the end of the session, sir. Most of students also
Definitely.
having, yes, yes.
Definitely. I take that input and I will respond in this call today before we
Okay,
wrap. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you, thank you.
All right. All right, everyone. I'm back. Just take the chat and put your message if you are back. All right, thanks for the confirmation. Let's continue. So now talk about password policies. When you design passwords for complex systems or applications or preparing for enterprise password policies, maybe one day you become a security administrator or a cybersecurity professional for an enterprise. You have been given a task to write a password policy for the company. Now, passwords start with password length. Minimum 8 is the password length, is industry standard. Maximum it may go up to 16 characters. It is about password length. Then password complexity, combination of uppercase, lowercase, special character, numeric number. This combination will create the complexity so that anyone cannot guess the password. So the password spraying attack or any type of password dictionaries used to hack the system, that can be mitigated by improving the complexity. Then password expiration, 180 days. Commonly companies keep password remain same. Then they will ask you to change because you are using expired password for a long time. You might have noticed bank and other critical applications ask you to reset the password every 180 days. That's common industry standard. Then password history. Now, when you change the password, you cannot reuse the very old password or the password which you have used multiple times in past to mitigate any password leaked in dark web or any other places. If any password compromised, then nowadays the systems are added with password history validation. While changing the password, you cannot use your password which was used last time or previous time or any time in the history, maybe last within 1 year. Kind of a password history companies are maintaining. Password reset is one of the complex area where we need to focus while implementing the reset flow. You might have heard many of the bug bounty program for Facebook or Meta or any other famous platform. If security professionals find a loophole in the password reset process, they awarded with huge money. So password reset is one of the complex flow. The reason behind that, when you forget a password, what will happen? You go and click the forget password. It may ask your basic information like user ID or date of birth or credit card, debit card information, then prompt you to change the password. That flow differs company to company, enterprise to enterprise. Maybe Apple, Facebook might have different flow. Sometime it may ask you to recognize your friend account. So different flow followed by different business applications. So while implementing password reset policy, we need to keep in mind that policy cannot be violated by any of the attacker or hacker, because the policy well tested and there is no loophole exist in that process. For example, you have implemented a password reset policy. Anyone go to the system and give a reset password, it's just asking for an email ID, then prompting them to enter the change password. Then it is a major loophole, because it is not validating if the user is true or any other mechanism is not used. So password reset to be taken care with utmost priority while implementing reset flows. Then password reuse. The reuse, using same password across multiple websites or applications, not recommended. In general, while delivering security trainings, they ask you to use different unique password for multiple application. For an example, you are an employee or you are an administrator. The company giving you multiple application access like Outlook, Salesforce, or Jira, or GitLab, or GitHub. Multiple business apps, they may give you access. If you keep same password in all the applications, same password, what will happen? The attacker or hacker know the one password, then they can take care of all the systems, right? So that's one of the weak link, reusing the same password across multiple systems. Even nowadays, you may have Facebook, Gmail, or Outlook, many other common free platform. You may use same password. That's the human tendency and habit, but that's not recommended or best practice. As a security professional, you should keep different passwords, so that if one password get compromised or leaked, the other systems are protected, because you are not nowhere using that password in any other system. But nowadays companies are using password vault, password manager to rotate the password with a small browser extension or application like a one password or password vault. But the common education piece, as a security administrator, you need to give the users that password reuse shouldn't be happen within the user system. User should aware of the password reuse policy. So these are the password policy component we need to keep in mind while developing password policies, whether it could be for any application or you are the core administrator, you are drafting the policy for your company. You should aware of these components: password length, complexity, expiration history, reset, and reuse. So next, authentication factors. As we know, password is one of the famous authentication factor used in widely, maybe last 2-3 decades. Password is primarily used. But other than password, there are other factors like fingerprint, iris, eye scanner, face and voice recognitions are used. Then there are physical method like using one-time password from a token application like authenticators. ATM card can be used as another parameter to authenticate with a specific application. So many different authentication techniques that allows users to prove their identity. This section looks at the following 3 authentication factors. Something you know. Something you know means something you can remember or you know about, which is commonly password or PIN. Then something you are is a biometric always. Fingerprint, voice, face recognition, eye pattern. Something you have, maybe MFAs, like you have your mobile phone, you can receive OTP through SMS, through email. Then there is a TOTP applications like Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator. Now each applications are having own authenticator. For example, if you are familiar with any trading application, that applications might come with own OTP flow. So something you have means always mobile phone. Nowadays even Gmail, while logging in, it's sending you a pop-up saying that type the number. That is something you have, right? Other than password, it's using combination of something you know as well as something you have. So now I come to multi-factor authentication. So these three authentication factors exist in the industry. Something you know password, something you are biometric, something you have maybe the physical card, ATM, or mobile phone, or authenticator application, or some physical tokens. There are tokens, the numbers keep rotating for maybe every 1 minute the number will rotate. That tokens also used in past, maybe RSA tokens. If you search in Google, you may see the pictures. Those all are used which is kind of authentication factor. Now, do you think any one of this factor sufficient to secure the system? The answer is no, because each factor has their own limitation. For example, if you put only password, there are applications or the rainbow dictionary can be used to guess the password by keep trying, or password can be compromised easily. If you put a pin also can be compromised by various techniques using phishing or mimicking same site as a banking website and stealing your data. So password pins are no longer safe. Something you are cannot be compromised, but still certain level it also can be compromised. For example, taking your fingerprint and duplicating your fingerprint. Your eye pattern maybe cannot be compromised, but that can be compromised if your eye pattern matches with artificially produced system to accept the someone else eye pattern by manipulating. Then face cannot be, but still there could be a chance they can mimic all your face information and create a mask and mimicking the system. Voice can be, nowadays AI is creating deep fake voices, so giving you a sample voice that will create similar voice patterns. So voice can be manipulated. Now authenticator, your phone can be stolen. Someone took your phone, someone steal your ATM card, right? So among three, all are weak systems. There are limitations exist. Then how we can protect our system and applications is the question, right? Now we need to combine any two. Something password, something you have authenticator or ATM card. So with this two factor you can be prove yourself, so that cannot be easily compromised. That is where all the applications in the industry, like any banking application, or if you take nowadays any social networking applications or web email, like a Gmail applications, or you start using password plus authenticator, something you have two combination. That is called multi-factor authentication. Let's start with the quiz. The quiz is, you are considering deploying a multi-factor authentication system to protect access to your organization's virtual private network. Which one of the following combinations of access control would you meet this requirement? Maybe this is simple or a tricky question. You take the chat and respond. If you guys answering like this, then you guys are already ready to take the exam. It's not that easy, at least. Good, I see huge response. That's great. Yeah, that's correct. Answer is C, smart card and fingerprint. The reason behind is we need to learn how to eliminate one by one. Password and PIN, both are same, right? Can be compromised. Fingerprint and eye scan, both are biometric, can be compromised. Something you are. Smart card and fingerprint is something you have and something you are combination. Key fob and some smart card, something you have category. only C is combination of 2, smart card and fingerprint. That's the best answer among 4. So you need to learn how to eliminate one by one wrong answers, then come to best possible answer. At times you can eliminate 2 wrong answer quickly, but you will confuse with 2 answers where you need to figure out what is the best answer. You can pick it up, you can read the question one more time, as much time you needed, but make sure the question should be answered within 1.2 minutes, because that's the time frame we have for answering 100 questions within 2 hours exam. So make practice. In next week probably I will provide a list of sample questions you can work out, and list of sample websites where they offer free practice exam simulations where you can practice yourself post learning the modules. Now next question. Andy is attempting to change his password and has created following long password. Yes, really long password. He receives an error message that he must use a symbol in his password. Which password policy he is failing to meet? All right. Sounds like you all prepared, ready for the exam. Good. Okay, let's move on. Next, privacy. Privacy. Why we need to talk about privacy in cybersecurity? Have you ever noticed while visiting any website, that website asking you to accept the cookies? There is a small banner and appearing asking you to accept or decline. If you decline, the web page will not load. If you accept, it may fully load the web page. So the privacy is so important, because when you are using enterprise system, it could be your company given laptop, it could be your company given email, or it could be your company given networking devices or equipments. While using, you cannot expect privacy. The reason behind that, the primary reason, it's a company owned device. They have clear privacy policy stating that the device can be monitored for enterprise purpose. You are using for a company, the company has full rights on the device. You cannot use that device for your personal chat and personal messaging, then you cannot expect the privacy. Then how is privacy defined for a company? Because this examination syllabus defined in a way, they are making you to a better security professional, should know about the security foundation required for business. They primarily focus on business, not individual, because we are preparing ourselves for good employment in cybersecurity, right? As a cybersecurity as a domain, you are going to start your career. So keep in mind, the privacy is a separate area. Enterprises define the privacy policy for their company. Accordingly, that privacy policy get implemented in their application, on their employees, on their customers, and their customer specific applications as well. So concerned about privacy is our own personal information. So when you are chatting with your friend, that is a personal information. That is, there is a concern if that is get leaked. But let's say you have posted something on Facebook, there is no privacy, because you can't expect on a public social media, after posting the content, you cannot expect privacy. Shouldn't see others. I mean, don't, others shouldn't see my post, because you agreed the terms and conditions from the Facebook stating that, whatever post you are making, there is no privacy concern, because you are displaying that information to anyone. When it comes to companies, enterprises, the employer, when you are working on some information, you cannot take that information, post it on Facebook or send it to your personal mail ID. That is where privacy concern starts. So you have a responsibility to educate the users in your organization about how they can protect their own personal information. So first, protecting their own personal information, then responsibility to assist privacy officials within your organization with the work they need to do, protect the personal information entrusted to your organization. I know this could be a boring topic because it's a lot of theory involved in privacy, but this is not the full domain we are going into. This is just a one piece of chapter within the first domain. Maybe 2 to 3 pages it may come as a book. So you just know about the privacy, what is privacy, why it is important for employer or a company. Then you can move on. Next, types of private information. When it comes to privacy, the information should be classified, right? Like private or a public or a sensitive information, secret, top secret information, classified information or public. So you can share some of the information public. For example, in company you have celebrated Independence Day. You can take a pic and you can post it on your social media. Yes, in our school or colleges we have celebrated Independence Day. But you cannot take a picture of your company's business balance sheet and post it. Hey, this is my company's balance sheet looks like for this quarter. We got this much profit. You cannot post like that. So here the difference is data classification. You should know level of data, what is personally identifiable information or what is protected information or protected sensitive information. Based on that, the privacy laws are enforced. So personally identifiable information includes all information that can be tied back to specific individual. Okay, take an example. John is a employee working in a MNC company. Just telling you this, John could be any John. Maybe hundreds of John exist in that MNC company, same name. So with just name, you cannot identify personal identifiable information. But now tell you the same example. John, date of birth is maybe 21st March 93. Blood group is O positive, located in building B, department HR. Now you see the sequence. This is personally identifiable information, right? When combining multiple elements, that can be changed into personally identifiable information. When I eliminate everything just to say John is working in an MNC company, no one knows which John, hundreds of Johns working in that same company. So personally identifiable information must be protected. The reason it can leads to business tied with business, and business may get impacted if that information get leaked. Then protected health information. Primarily protected health information classified for medical or enterprises who is dealing health insurance or health related information. So they need to obey this Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act from US. This HIPAA should be followed. What it says, the information about any ailment or any diseases associated with that person shouldn't be leaked outside. For example, there is an employee reporting that he got a severe disease. Maybe let's say take an example, the worst one, cancer. He got cancer and reported to company. Now company is storing that information. Take the same example. John, he infected with specific disease, XYZ disease. Now that information is classified under health information, right? That must be protected. That shouldn't be leaked or going outside the enterprises. As a cybersecurity professional, we should know about information classification. What are the information can be disclosed in public? What are the information shouldn't be disclosed? So personally identifiable information kept secret and confidential. Personal health information should be classified under highly sensitive information, kept secret, that shouldn't be accessed by any other employees in the company. Only necessary people should be able to access using least privilege model. So the privacy here, how it plays the information important role. The privacy management framework, most of the enterprises must follow this framework, privacy management framework. As a cybersecurity professional, we should aware of this framework. So this framework start with management. Okay, the management responsibility to define privacy policy for my company. Take an example. There is a startup. They are assisting blood donors and the necessity needy people who are requiring blood from maybe emergency hospital emergency department or across the specific town. They are connecting donors with needy people. Now that company is a startup. That company management should be responsible to define the privacy policy. What all are the information you are collecting from the donor? What all are the information you are collecting from the receiver? You are the management guy, you are the startup guy who are developing that application. You are responsible for developing the privacy policy. I will not collect patient information or I will not collect donor information. Only donor phone number and receiver phone numbers are stored. This is how we process the information. We no need any other data. Similarly, take an example. I am conducting this course. I have collected your phone number, email address and name, right? So I should follow the privacy policy. I shouldn't use your phone number, mail ID in any other place. That's the reason if you have noticed the email which I have sent, you don't have access to others' email address. You might have seen the email which is sent to me and from me. So that's where you need to start implement privacy policies, the way you need to protect personally identifiable information. The full policy must be defined by the management. It's a management responsibility. Now next one is agreement, notice and communication. Here is where when you visit a website, the pop-up saying that accept cookies and if you are accepting cookies, you can visit. If you decline, the partial function of the website may not function. What they are technically telling, that agreement, you are accepting the cookies means you are accepting, they are going to collect your public IP, they are going to collect your search interest, whatever you are sorting in the web pages, those informations are processed for better performance. So the agreement, notice and communication should be given to respective users. Collection and creation, how you are collecting the personal data, where you are going to keep the data, that will fall under collection. There are various ways they collect. For example, asking you to fill a form or collecting through backend system like from based on your IP address or your interest or search data from your browser. That can be used as a collection. Then using and retention disposable. Let's say you go to a shopping cart, take an example, Flipkart or Amazon, you go there and added some items, then check out, order delivered. Now, your interest stored in their system. You are a college student, you have ordered, let's say, some gym equipments. That's your interest. You are a fitness freak and you are trying to get some gym equipments. So that's interest is stored in the system. Now that information will be deleted after some time, let's say after 180 days, 90 days. That's where retention and disposable policy come into picture. Then access. Who all have access to that data? Let's say Amazon linked with some other company, the partner who is delivering the product. They have access to your order and other information. How that will be deleted, that access information should be mentioned in the privacy agreement. Then disclosure to third parties. So third parties may be the delivery partner who are delivering the product to your doorstep. That needs to be disclosed in the privacy. Then security for privacy, how companies protecting the privacy information, the secure private information collected from you. Then data integrity and quality. How this data integrity, data cannot be manipulated or modified, without your consent. Let's say you have a consent, you have like to terminate the Amazon account, which you don't want to continue. Then Amazon should provide you terminate button with the condition, I will delete all the information because of the user, you. So then monitoring and enforcement. There is a department, they are monitoring, these privacy policies are implemented in their application and these all are implemented. These all are the recent violation happens in the city or location. This much fraudulent cases reported. Those informations are continuously monitored by the system. So these frameworks developed by American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. If you just search American Institute of Certified Public Accountant, you will get more information. So now quiz time. I know we are running over. Maybe we'll continue or extend the next 10 minutes. Just take a chat and respond this quiz quickly. Seems this is going to be a tough question. All right, so the right answer is answer B. We'll eliminate one by one. Answer A patient discussing medical records with a nurse and patient in the same location. So nurse must aware of the patient's record. So no privacy expectation here. Employee sending email to a friend over the office network. This is right answer because employee is in company provided equipment and company provided email service, but friend is outsider. He shouldn't expect any privacy. So least expectation of privacy. Student discussing grades with the teacher. Teacher knows about the student's grades. So no privacy expectation here. Two people having a private conversation. Both are independent people having private chat. So no privacy. I mean, they know each other messages. So no privacy. So here the answer is B because the email is in company equipment. The friend is an outsider. The employee shouldn't expect or least expectation of the privacy. He doesn't have rights to expect privacy. All right, let's quickly cover laws and regulations. Then we'll wind up this call. Talking about laws, why we need to know about law and regulations. As a cybersecurity professional, you may be placed in a company. That company may do business in multiple countries like India, Europe, America. Very common country like India having multiple MNCs like MNCs giant like Infosys, Wipro, TCS. Those companies having projects from all over the world. They may get a business from Europe or America or India, government projects, right? So these projects, when they are handling the business, they should implement respective law for the land. So they should follow the law, depends on the business they are doing respective to their customer location. Take Europe. If they are handling any European resident or a citizen information, they should follow General Data Protection Regulation Act, GDPR. The personal information following, they should follow GDPR law. If they are handling US project, let's say customer base is in San Francisco or any US state, then they should follow Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act for health related information. For finance, they should follow Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. That act should be followed for any finance related companies like insurance or banking, fintech companies should follow Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. There is a generic act, Payment Card Industry Data Standard, which is called PCI DSS. That also can be followed by these companies so that they would obey respective regular standard while dealing with the payment card industry regulatory standards. Okay, I talk about Europe, US. What about India? In India, 2023, Indian government proposed an act called Digital Personal Data Protection Act, DPDP. This was just launched in 2025 this year, and government announced to follow this Digital Personal Data Protection Act for companies who are running business in India. So, my dear fellow learners, DPDP is a very new concept in India. If you think you have good growth in laws and regulations, you like to pursue your studies and career growth in laws and regulations, go and take time and learn about DPDP Act. There are n number of companies offering this course, DPDP course for companies. There would be huge openings because government start enforcing. If companies fail to follow this DPDP rule, they may ended up failing. They need to pay penalties to the Indian government. So that's where this is going to be a new way to learn our India's regulatory control. By the way, India is outside this exam syllabus. So far, GDPR, HIPAA, GLBA, only these three laws exist in the CC course. India, I just added for your information. So take your time and learn about laws, why we need to follow these laws. But if there is a question about GDPR, you should know how to answer that question. If there is a question about PCI DSS, you should know where PCI DSS used in context with CC exam. So now quiz time. Take your time and figure out which one is the right law we need to follow. Your organization is planning to accept credit card for the first time, and you are concerned about the regulations that may affect this processing. You already handle large amount of personally identifiable information. Which new regulation is most likely to affect your organization? So the first one, GDPR, talks about personal information. PCI DSS talks about payment card industry. CCPA is not there in our syllabus. HIPAA is about Health Information Protection Act, right? So what do you think? Which one would be the right option? So this is how the questions would be. However, this is a sample questions, but similarly you may expect questions in the exam as well. All right, so we'll move on. So here is the overview. I just reminding you again, we are just in the stage 1, we are preparing. Now I come to the question part. I take the question from Gautami earlier, asked about should I schedule the exam, do we need to register exam while preparing CC from the website, right? The answer is no. You no need to register for exam. While completing the form, the candidate application form, you would be prompted 2 options. You can start the training, you can register the examination, you can ignore the exam registration section, you can start the training. So, but 1 year exam window is started for you guys. As soon as you register for CC exam, the candidate application, your exam must be taken within next year, within August, because you will be given 1 year time period, because after August your the free option will be overlapped or lapsed. You will get another option, but within next 1 year we need to take the exam. So in a nutshell, you no need to register for exam, but you can start ISC squared 40 hours video training. You just complete the course, then you just join this 6 live session, then you will be familiar with the concept. Upcoming weeks I will try to provide you guys question simulator so that parallelly you can complete the module, you can start the training. In case any of the students already registered for the exam, don't worry. Just before 48 hours, you can reschedule the exam without any cost. So you just, let's say you just registered exam for next month, but you cannot make it. Don't worry, you just go and reschedule the exam after 2 months or whatever time you are planning to take the exam. I would recommend practice 45 days consistently every day 1 hour or weekend, maybe spend more time to learn the course module. Once you are familiar, you will be able to answer the questions. Once you do more number of questions, then you will get the time management skill, how fast you can read the question, how to eliminate the bad answers, picking the best one among the two. Those techniques you should practice. That will only come with the practice. As much questions you take, your success rate will be higher. So that way you can start practicing. So next I take one more question from the chat. What is DP Act specifically protecting, like health and finance or something else? So a country like India, we don't have a law. First of all, we didn't have law before 2023. 2023, the law was formed, but it was not approved. Various reasons, various iterations happened by industry experts and various parties. Now finally, government pushed this 2025. Companies are instructed to follow the DPDP Act, but DPDP Act is primarily focused on privacy concern. It could be personally identifiable information or health related information or finance related informations. All privacy related informations exist in the DPDP Act. It's not only just only payment card industry should follow, only bank should follow, not like that. Whatever companies or enterprises should follow privacy for personally identifiable information or health related information, they should follow DPDP Act, as that is the law for the land if they are doing business in India. This was not there before. At least we have a good opportunity to start with. Our government is making day by day better and better. So now we have a clear act. If any foreign company like Facebook or Instagram doing business in India, they should follow DPDP Act. That's where the concern is. You go and do business in US, you need to follow US law, Europe law. But when US and Europe companies coming India and doing the business, they don't have any law to follow. That will, creating problem. They are taking all our Indian citizens' data outside the country and use it for various purposes. That can be mitigated. There is a law which will instruct, let's say DPDP Act will instruct how to handle Indian citizens' personal information, right? So that's where DPDP come into picture. Maybe as a first timer, you may not able to understand the law by just visiting the web page and reading the PDF. There are various risk and GRC experts posted videos about DPDP law in videos that may help us to understand as a normal people, because these laws and regulations, terminologies and words are not familiar with. All right, yeah, nice write-up. There are multiple articles available. Even I will give you the Indian government release one from the government website. We have that documented. So with that, wrapping this session, thank you everyone for joining over long holiday. If you have any questions, just feel free to unmute and ask.
Sir, Gautami sir.
Gautami, could you speak again? I couldn't hear you.
Sir, am I audible, sir, now?
Yeah, now audible.
Sir, actually, we have a doubt regarding the password setting. You told that we are using the same password for. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm listening.
Yes, same password, setting the same password for n number of web pages. It's somewhat not good for that security, right? But nowadays we are following that principle, like sign in through Google. It accessing that it's setting that default account as the username. Whether it's possible to track the password for those things.
It's a valid question. That is called a single sign-on, right? Nowadays, companies or multiple applications just simplifying the login with single sign-on.
Yes. Yes.
The single sign-on should be taken seriously because the moment you are allowing or granting access, the company doesn't have access to your user ID and password, but it has access to the session integrity. For example, you have logged into Gmail on the same device, you can log into that respective application without password because Gmail is authorizing that application because you already logged in with the Gmail. Gmail has the protection like a multi-factor authentication, password protection already enabled in Gmail. Gmail is a parent application. Whatever application you are signing in, that is child application. For example, in this LearnCyberSec website also we integrated Gmail as a parent. If anyone has Gmail account, they can quickly log into our LearnCyberSec portal to register the course. That's how we implemented, right? So what we are doing, we are just relying on Google. If the user is successfully authenticated with Google, Google will pass the user ID, I mean the Gmail username or that email address to us, that we will be using for tracking who the user is accessing, but Google never share the password of the user. So that way your password is still protected. Also, you are still protected with multi-factor authentication from Google because you are logging with the accounts.google, which is Google's authentication service. So that way, that is a good approach. But the thing is, you should aware which applications are you are granted permission. As soon as that purpose is completed, you can go to Google and revoke the privileges so that there is no way to use that application again. For example, you have joined this course after 6 months, after 6 weeks, the purpose is completed. You can go and remove the ID from the LearnCyberSec or delete the account from the Google so that your Google no longer linked to LearnCyberSec website. So similar way, whatever applications you have granted in the past, you can go and see the list in the Google and you can revoke the access as soon as the purpose is completed. If you are regularly using, fine, but let's say you 3 years ago, 2 years ago, you have granted permission, but you no longer using, it's a good option to go and review and revoke the access.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
All right, everyone. If no further questions, we'll wrap this call. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week again. Thank you. Bye-bye.